Hey, what's up, my Tattletales? How y'all doing today? Well, listen, if you've been wondering what's going on with the Meg Thee Stallion Tory Lanez trial, look no further. While there are not cameras in trial, every single day I'm going to be doing a recap, an extensive, detail-filled recap of the day before, okay? What do we know about yesterday? Let me give y'all the overview, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details. One, all that online abuse and all those lies by DJ Academics and everybody else posting that bald-headed leprechaun on the shoulders of kings took a toll on Meg Thee Stallion. She said quite a few times she wanted to unalive herself, and quite a few times she wishes that it wasn't just her feet that were shot, but it was her. Y'all, this was serious testimony. Second of all, this was a very good day for Meg. Aside from the fact that she had to admit that she let that bald-headed leprechaun hit. Now listen, I will chalk this up to the insanity defense. You had just lost your mother, your grandmother. It was quarantine, and you were drinking heavily at that time. Y'all, listen, there's nothing I can say. She wanted to taste the rainbow. Okay, but how has this turned from a trial of who shot her into what she did with her body? Now the same people that were going up for Tory Lanez saying Meg was lying about the police report, remember? Because I remember this was going on over the weekend when people were saying, oh, y'all gonna feel real stupid. They said she was lying over the police report. They said she was lying over being shot. They said it was all lying. It was going to be all put away. And probably Megan was the one that was going to go to jail for lying. Now the nut gallery has shut up, and now she's on trial for whether or not they think she's a hoe. First of all the people call Meg a hoe. You ain't never gonna hit it, smell it, and so just move on. I know you're mad about that, but move on. Second of all, you guys, let's take a step back, because the defense wants to cloud public opinion. First of all, it's not going to work with the jury, but it will work for public opinion into turning it into whether or not she was being low down to her friend, whether or not she let that leprechaun hit. Okay, regardless, what does it have to do with someone being shot in cold blood? What does that have to do with somebody because you were angry, you felt mad, you raised your voice, whoever you were sleeping with, that the person you were sleeping with raised a gun and shot 1, bang, 2, bang, 3, bang, 4, bang, 5, bang, while you're standing there in the middle of the night in a neighborhood you don't know, in a thong bikini and cover up. At that time, she didn't have a thong bikini and cover up on. What does that have to do with this? It's sick to me that we keep moving the goalposts instead of looking. Forget about a woman being hurt. Forget about a Black woman being hurt. How about this happen to a human being? Anyway, y'all, let's get into the highly detailed things. Also, the people saying that, how you gonna say it? Because I heard some of y'all, how you gonna say it was good for Tory when everybody says it was, how you gonna say it was bad for Tory when everybody says it went good? The same people that said it went good for Tory were the same people last week saying Megan Thee Stallion was lying about everything and will probably be the one to go to jail because she was even faked everything, even her foot being shot. You can't listen to them. Let's get into some real detail, and then you make your own mind up, okay? You can disagree with me, but just make sure you're respectful about it, okay? All right. Meg Thee Stallion tells the jury about the emotional toll of alleged Tory Lanez shooting. She said, I wish he would have just shot and deleted me rather than have to go through this torture. Megan told jurors, describing where her depressed thoughts sometimes wandered. Now, if I didn't mention it before, let's get into this. Megan, the reason why this was a good day for her is she came across as sincere. She came across as vulnerable. She came across as believable. And that's what you need in trial, to come across as believable. But let's get into this. She said her voice was cracking with emotion. This is shout out to Nancy. Her voice was cracking with emotion. Meg Thee Stallion looked straight ahead and held her composure Tuesday as she told jurors that Tory shouted "Dance B" before shooting her in both feet during a roadside assault in July 2020. That psychopath shot her in both feet. And the fact that people have so much anger at the way she carries herself, what she says, who she is and the fact that she is dominating a game the rap game that many of these people wish they could even be a part of, that you can't even separate yourself and say, if this happened to a human being. Dressed in a bad, bright purple suit. She looked so pretty yesterday. Let me just say, Meg took the witness stand around 11:15 a.m. and immediately identified Lanez in the Los Angeles courtroom. Again, Megan looked pretty. And when I say pretty, I mean from a public relations standpoint. She wore something that made her look strong, confident, but feminine. She wore something that was true to who she is as a person, but also her own stage persona, but also appropriate for a court of law. That is a tough tightrope to sell when you are any type of musician, any type of artist, okay? And the fact that she walked it, kudos to her PR team, kudos to her PR team. That's what I mean by she looked pretty. You did what had to be done. Good for you. Meanwhile, Tory Lanez was, Tory Lanez, shut up, let me have my corny joke, brought his 5-year-old son to court to hear testimony on how he maybe shot a woman. Why would you use your child as a publicity stunt? And I don't want to hear, oh, but he had his child on his album cover. That's an album cover. Why would you bring your child into court? Why would you bring your child into court to even hear about any woman being shot? Forget about whether you did it or not. Why would you want your child to hear that testimony? He didn't see it in heaven anyway. Whew. Now, the Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney, Kathy Tott, asked Megan, are you nervous? She said, I just don't feel good. I can't believe I have to come up here and do this, okay? Meaning what I heard a few ignorant people actually say, what do you mean you can't believe you have to do this? I thought you were a strong Black woman. Being a strong woman does not mean you are devoid of any type of mental feeling. And also, I think what she meant was, at least this is my interpretation, she can't believe she has to come up here and share parts of her sex life and justify how sleeping with a man didn't in any way justify her being shot in the foot. It's disgusting and it's gross. And I feel disgusted for Megan. Anyway, right? They said for over more than 3 hours of harrowing testimony, Megan described her terrified reaction to the shooting in the pre-dawn hours of July 12th and the fear and confusion that followed. She did admit that she lied to investigators and media outlets when she previously denied having been intimate with the leprechaun. But she did have an excuse, or not excuse, an explanation. She told jurors that the non-exclusive relationship, so basically they were just friends with benefits, right, left her feeling embarrassed. Girl, we're embarrassed for you. And ultimately, she considered it irrelevant to the actual shooting that landed her in the hospital. I agree about all the things. She said, this whole story about who I'm having sex with, and I don't understand why it matters. I don't either. She was shutting down the defense suggestions that her former best friend, Kelsey Harris, shot at her in a jealous rage, right? But Megan is adamant it was Tory. And I say this again, we act like she perished and we have to hold a seance to decide. Meg, please tell us from the spirit world who did it. The victim survived and the victim's telling us who did it. And where have you ever heard someone being shot and somebody being like, they did it to me? And all these people saying, no, you're lying. I can't. Anyway, right? She said, Tory came out and told so many different lies about me not being shot, about him not being the shooter, and making this all about a sex scandal. She said the ensuing ordeal led to a barrage of threats and harassment online. And she said it left her feeling like a sick bird that other members of her industry sought to avoid. She literally said, because I was shot, I've been turned into some kind of villain, and he's the victim. This has messed up my whole life, saying she often gets depressed about the way she's being shamed online. You know what I will say? If Tory is found guilty, and I 100% believe he will, everybody that actually has experience in the criminal justice system is a lawyer, prosecutor, even defense attorney says this is pretty much an open shut case. So I know that the DJ academics of the world is putting in their 2 cents. However, it looks like things are bad for the little bald-headed leprechaun. However, I am saying that when he is found guilty, let's speak it into existence. When he is found guilty, right? When he's found guilty, she is opening this up for a civil trial, and I hope she sues him for every piece of gold in his little leprechaun pot, right? They said at her lowest, she thought, I wish he would have just shot me and deleted me rather than have to go through this torture, right? In her sworn account of the hours leading up to the shooting, Megan said Tory, right, or Daystar, met her at a pool party at Kylie Jenner's house, and at first refused to join her when she announced she was ready to go home. She said when he finally agreed to leave, so she and Kelsey could hitch a ride with the driver, he had an attitude. She said, we finally all got in the car and left. He had an attitude because he wasn't ready to leave the party. Almost immediately, she said she was in the front seat while Tory and Kelsey sat in the back. Almost immediately, Tory tried to stir up controversy between the two women. Again, I would say, what type of dirtbag is Tory? Because you just want to sit there and throw dirt on Megan's name. Tory, you cheat. You were the big dirtbag. You were the pass around. I know there's a lot of people that like to come with like, oh, but when a woman has sex, it goes to her soul. Tory was the pass around in the situation. In what world would it be a woman, right? The pass around, since y'all want to talk incel terms, that was the one that was accused of shooting your fave, Drake, Diddy, whoever your fave is. Would you be believing the pass around? How does he have more? But let's move on. She said, Tory said, you need to stop lying to your friend. You need to stop lying to your friend. She said Tory was referring to her hookup with him, and Kelsey didn't know at the time. She said, because I knew Kelsey had a crush on Tory, I didn't want to hurt her feelings, and I didn't want her to know that I had dealt with him in any kind of way. So he knew I didn't want her to know. I didn't want anybody to know. So now Kelsey got an attitude because he was implying we were hiding something for her. Listen, I felt for Megan. I don't know why she chose to lie to Kelsey. That's between her and Kelsey. But I definitely believe her when I say she was deeply ashamed and deeply embarrassed that she ever let that bald-headed leprechaun touch her. She said, now Tory started calling both of them bees and hoes. And she said, let me out of this car. She said, I realized, oh my God, I'm literally at the peak of being so famous right now. And I'm in a thong bikini, no cover up. And I look crazy. And if anybody sees me walking down the street like this, it's going to be bad for me. Megan said she got back in the vehicle. And again, I believe why Megan got back in the video, because at this point, she didn't think she was anywhere close to being shot. She didn't. She probably didn't even know Tory had a gun on him. Again, she's in a car with a man that she once had an intimate relationship with. But I guess in the way Tory grew up, that don't mean nothing, right? I guess y'all gonna tell Megan to choose better. Anyway, Megan said she got back in the vehicle where Tory and Kelsey were screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. The driver turned down a side street and they approached Megan's house. So she was close to her house. She asked to get out the car again. She said Tory had disparaged her rap career. So she disparaged him in return, saying, you trash ass rapper. I don't care how many of y'all say you love Tory's tape. The charts ain't saying this. I'm just saying, right? The Billboard charts ain't saying it. The SoundCloud, the Spotify charts ain't saying it. So Megan said, you're trash too. But that enraged that bald-headed leprechaun, because the only thing he has is his ego. Tory was basically telling me I wasn't ish, and I said, actually, you ain't ish. This is where you at in your career. This is where you at in your music. And I feel like that really rubbed him the wrong way. He kept yelling and cursing. I started walking away from the car, and I can hear Tory say, dance, B, but I didn't have to turn all the way around. I didn't have to use my feet to turn around, right? She literally displayed how she just turned her head. She stood still, but she turned her head like, what? I literally turned like this, and I could see him with the banger. Now, the defense attorney objected, but the judge let the answer remain on the record. Megan's main injury was near the back of her left foot, leading the defense to claim she was facing away from the shooter when the gunfire erupted and didn't have a good vantage point to identify who was holding the weapon. Megan repeated that she saw Tory with the gun and froze. She said, I'm in shock. I'm scared. I hear the gun going off. Bang, 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 bang. I couldn't believe he was shooting at me. He was holding the gun, pointing it at me. I looked down at my feet. All I see is blood. Now everybody's screaming. He looks shot. Kelsey looks shot. Megan said everything started to get blurry after that. And she recalled Tory apologizing in the car when they heard police sirens. He was saying, please don't say anything. I'll give y'all $1 million. I can't go to jail. I already got caught with a hammer before. Now, here's the thing. First of all, how is he promising $1 million? Y'all can believe what y'all want about that man's. I've seen that receding hairline. I've seen the way, stop it, $1 million. He was just saying anything he could to get them to shut up. $1 million. And even if he had, would you take $1 million from somebody just shot you in the foot and pulled the gun out and still had a gun? And if you would, I would like to know what happened with your life, what went wrong, why your mom ain't hug you left, and why your daddy ain't care. But talk about that in the comments, right? We have to move on. Anyway, listen, he kept saying that, please, 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 I can't go, I've been shot. Soon after, Megan said she lied to the police and told them that she stepped on glass. Asked why she didn't tell the truth, Megan said her reasoning was twofold. And I understand this, and anybody that's being honest about what goes on in the community can understand this muling thing. You can, and if you can't, then you're not being honest. She said this was at the height of police brutality and George Floyd. And if I said this man just shot me, I didn't know whether they might shoot first and ask questions later. In the Black community and my community, it's not really acceptable to be cooperating with police officers. She said, as a woman in the music industry, people have a hard time believing you anyway. Y'all, now listen, I will say that, hold on. I will say this, Megan was 100% right about what she said. And even all the online hate she's getting is because people just don't want to believe her. They want to believe because of the way she looks, or the way she acts, or the way she talks, or the way she carries herself, or the way she even thinks that she's worth more than dirt off the ground. As grounds alone to humble her. And if she can't get humbled, by golly, it's your job to take out that hammer and do what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, how dare she, right? How dare she look that good? How dare she walk around? How dare she know her worth? How dare she raise her voice to a man? How dare she tell a man that how dare she exercise her body that God gave her and do what she wants with her body and still demand to be respected? How dare she? So let's keep going. Where else is there? Let's see. Here's the other thing. She was questioned as to why Tory had been dragging it out like this, right? She said, have you hated me this much the whole time and I didn't see it? I want him to go to jail and I want him to go under the jail. 100%. Men sleep with women all the time that they hate. And in their sick minds, they think they're actually doing something and besmirching. But that's because we're not going to get into seventh wave feminism and all that stuff. That is what happened in court. That is every detail. That's every detail. What am I missing? Anything else? I just want to make sure I'm just not mentioning. Okay, so that is every single detail of what happened with Megan in court yesterday. Listen, you can take your own opinions. You can believe what you wanted. I thought, and a lot of people that are actual legal experts thought she did really well. But again, right? None of us are in the jury box. I'm praying that Tory gets everything he deserves. I'm praying. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Don't forget, I will be doing recaps the day after, but I'll also be adding in commentary during the day. Talk to y'all later. Ooh, Kelsey's gonna be not performing, but testifying today. Talk to y'all later.